Shotgun with Charlie.
Riding shotgun refers to the practice of sitting next to the driver in a moving vehicle. The term riding shotgun came around after the time of the stagecoach, when somebody used to sit next to the driver holding a shotgun, in case they ran into bandits. My name is Charlie Cook, and I drive a lot. I like to talk to people while I'm driving, so I interview people in my car while I'm driving. Welcome to Riding Shotgun with Charlie.
Hello?
Hey, Hickok, it is Charlie from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. How are you?
Great. I've never heard of you. Who are you now?
Exactly.
No, good to hear from you, Charlie.
It's great to catch up with you. I've taken on a little gig with Armed Lifestyle magazine, and I'm repurposing shows for an art column that's called Writing Shotgun with Charlie. So I wanted to catch up with you and write an article about it and put you in the Armed Lifestyle magazine.
Oh no. As long as you make me look really, really smart, that's okay.
Well, you're smarter than the average bear.
That's a challenge, right?
Oh, please. You're smarter than the average bear. That'll be fine.
Yeah, good. Yeah, well, that's great. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's. I'm just trying to keep up. That's all I tell people I do is I'm just trying to keep up. And then I tell them, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and they're like, how are you keeping up? I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you have less chance of having an accident on the highway with this riding shotgun, right?
This is true. It's a lot safer. It's a lot safer. And I have an editor this time now.
All right.
So listen, this is going to be coming out around in July of 2023. So what are some Hickok household family traditions that you guys have? Do you guys go out on the 4th of July and shoot, or do you just lay low? Do you have some friends over? You have a little barbecue?
We generally get a bunch of ammo and guns together and go out and shoot road signs, in Tennessee.
Nice.
No, we don't do that. I was joking. I live far away, more or less, from my family and nieces, nephews, all that kind of thing. Parents are gone, all that. So we don't have a big family reunion or anything, but John is out normally, and then my grandson, we will generally get some fireworks, and actually real fireworks, and not rely on the kind that you put in a cylinder or chamber. We get real fireworks and shoot some fireworks, grill out, that kind of thing. And we used to go over on the hill over behind the I guess a 230-yard gong. There was kind of a clearing over there, still more or less, and we would do it over there, shoot rockets and things up in the air somewhere where it was totally safe, not too close to the road. But I would typically do it down in the driveway on the actual shooting range now, shoot off a bunch of fireworks and that kind of thing. Have a little fun. Maybe shoot some firearms too, of course. Of course. So obviously, we're not going to shoot those into the air.
Yeah. That sounds really cool. Speaking of getting together with John, how's he doing? He's up in Chicago doing comedy and stuff, right?
Yeah, he's up there quite a bit, a couple of weeks at a time, and, doing this comedy thing, working hard at that. He loves it, and it's been going great guns with it for several years now, so works out great. That way, Chicago is not all that far, 7-hour drive or so, and he can go up there and be up there a while and do all the various open mics and shows and different things he might get on. Just every day, like 3 or 4, he can do 3 or 4 sets. Whereas he used to just do a lot in Nashville and then do a lot of driving, maybe to Arizona, just all over the place, where up there he can land in one place and just do a lot of shows in a week. So it's a really, really good place to get a lot of experience without going to New York or LA or some crazier place like that. Yeah. And he'll come back, we'll do videos, we plan that and visit with his son, my grandson, and works pretty well.
That's great. Yeah, there's obviously, there's got to be a lot more comedy places in Chicago than there are in Nashville.
Oh yeah, it's just incredible. I mean, they have like two Zanies, for example, and then all kinds of clubs and interesting places he's told me about. He goes out and does 3 or 4 sets a night, either that many open mics, or he'll have a show and an open mic, and just because he's really into practicing and perfecting the jokes he's writing and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's just a massive market for about anything, comedy, whatever.
Yeah, Chicago's great. Definitely. Oh my gosh, when was it? It was NRA in Houston in 2022. I messaged him to see if you guys were going to be going to that, and he said he was going out and doing stand-up every night at NRA back in Houston. And he did. I ended up going out one night to hear him, and it was pretty cool. It was kind of fun. Definitely.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. He's got some good jokes, and it's comedy, as most of us have learned by now. It's when I was younger, I used to think comedians were always the guy that was or gal they were the life of the party. They're that guy in your 5th grade class or your freshman class in high school that always had the prank or the joke, and those were the people that grew up to be comedians, but not necessarily at all. It's the good writers and the people that can deliver the joke, the set.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a skill. When I had John on the show, I was telling him that I was actually going out and doing some stand up before all the lockdowns and shutdowns and COVID and stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah, well, you don't understand it then, yeah.
Yeah, it's people are like, oh my gosh, you're funny, you should go do stand up, and you get up for stand up and you're like,
yeah, you don't have a good joke. It doesn't matter how funny you are at the office.
Exactly, it's completely different. It is. So speaking of John, so he makes some he videos you and you video him, right?
Yes. Can't you tell? Yeah. When the camera's in my hand, it's a little shakier and all that. He's better at that than I am, and of course I blame it on him partly because he's not as attuned to or as aware, because again he doesn't have as much experience being in the video, being the presenter, right. Just like I don't have as much experience doing the camera work, and but I try to think about where he is quite often, most of the time, and not move too fast or run back to the shooting table.
Sure.
But sometimes he'll shoot, empty the gun or whatever, and then he'll just immediately lower the gun and start walking back to the shooting table, so you see his back, in the camera and all that.
Right.
And I'm trying to sidestep to get over there with him and keep it halfway stable. But it's not a big deal because, what we do is kind of raw.
For sure.
Anybody that's seen the videos knows that we're not into the ultimate production values. It's the guns, that's what it's about, and that kind of thing. We've never, even though we could afford about any camera out there, we're not interested in using a $30,000 camera and all that. We never get into the high speed stuff, and we just do what we do. Kind of film ourselves shooting and having fun, and try to give some information, about the firearms we're presenting. Right.
That's actually a good question. What kind of camera do you guys use?
It's we've been using quite a while now. The Canon series, the XA series, is kind of a prosumer. I think they now call them a professional. I don't know, but I see. In fact, I just upgraded. John's got a couple of them. I've got actually 3 now, and I think the XA30 I have as a backup, and then the XA40 we've been using for the last couple of years. We noticed, you may have noticed the lighting is coming and going a little bit, not dramatically to the point where we got to get rid of this, but enough that it's noticeable. I've seen people comment on it a couple times too, and we need to upgrade that thing. It's really not that old, but
right.
So anyway, I upgraded to a Canon XA60. And just got it last week, which we've been using this week. And it's just basically the same camera, but just a little, has some improvements, but not dramatically. But in that same line, I just like those cameras. It's the same batteries and mostly chargers, but they work pretty well.
Yeah.
And they run. It's a not that money's important, but and as far as the price, if you're not familiar with cameras or anybody listening or watching, they're I don't know, $1,600, 17, that kind of price range.
Right.
So we've never spent like really big bucks. A lot of people would think that's huge dollars, but just a nice camera.
Yeah.
It'll do 4K, and it's pretty nice.
That's very cool. How do you store all your videos? Because I think about my show. I've put out 170, 175 shows, and I get the little the external hard drives that have about 5 terabytes on them, and I think I'm on my 6th one.
Yeah, we do the same thing. Starting out, or I don't know, 10 years ago or 11 or whatever, when the videos weren't quite as heavy, we were just saving all of them on an external hard drive, and then, the raw files and the rendered files both, and then they would keep upgrading. Okay, I don't know what we had initially, 500 meg or something probably, or gigs, and then we need a terabyte drive. And of course, technology has changed too. Now you can get lots of terabytes on a little drive. But
yeah, so
I was saying, John, we're gonna have to upgrade here. We got enough stuff here. We're gonna need to get a 2 terabyte drive. It's probably 10 years ago or something. But anyway, we did everything on it.
Right.
And I don't know what we had. Probably 3 or 4 years worth of everything we had done, on one, maybe 3 or 4 terabyte, I don't know, drive. But then it's just a lot on one drive and everything. And we need backups, of course. So I got to about, I don't know, 8 or so years ago, 10 maybe. It's just, I get 3 or 4 new ones every year of those little 4 terabyte drives,
yeah.
Seagate usually. And that holds a whole year's worth of the raw files and the rendered files, videos. It holds with a little room to spare. And so every one of them is like a 2021. This is for 2021.
Oh,
and I mark all of them 2021, 2022, whatever. And I have 3 or 4 of them for each year. John keeps one. We back it up every now and keeps it at his house. Keep one here. Yeah. And then one in the bank. When I go to the bank to the lockbox, I'll take it over there and update it occasionally. I don't do it that often. But, just have them in different locations. If there was a fire,
sure.
Lose them. And so that's just been our procedure. It works pretty well every year. And then at the end of the year, just, take it to the bank lockbox. I keep one in a gun safe as well. And so, if the worst happened, at least we've got everything backed up.
Yeah, a couple different backups. That's great. I mean, it really is one of these things, the content that you guys are putting out. It really is an unbelievable resource. And I got to tell you, I've had a number of people that have asked me about firearms, and it's about they're asking about a carry gun, or they want to get something that I don't have and I don't know anything about. I'll go right through your channel and say, hey, listen, watch this show. This is Hickok. He's a guy that I've interviewed, and I've had on my show, and this is him reviewing this gun, and here's another video from reviewing this other gun, and it's an unbelievable resource that you guys are putting out.
Well, thanks. There are people who do a better job in terms of detail and all that. We're kind of weird in a weird place, like everybody is. If you look, you could name, I don't know, what are the 20 or 25 YouTubers that do gun videos of some sort that have a pretty strong following, and everybody is different. And that's the cool thing about it.
Oh yeah.
And we're really different because we don't try to, here's everything you wanted to know about the Ruger Security 380, which we just did recently. But I'm going to give you my opinion and John's opinion and how we like it in comparison to other guns and the basics of the firearm and price and, how it works and that kind of thing. But, there are other people who actually do better at that, and maybe they don't get out and shoot as much on camera. Their thing is maybe on a table, or in the bedroom, wherever, and it goes to extreme detail about the firearm, and all that information, of course, is available online. So we don't try to duplicate that. We just we're a little bit like a reality show, I guess. We just brought the camera out, 15 years ago, and more or less. Started filming kind of what we'd been doing, just shooting and enjoying the firearms.
That's really cool. I always tell people that I never, after a few years of going to gun shows, I stopped going to gun shows, and I say this humorously. I say going to a gun show is like going to a strip joint. There's lots of things I'd like to put my hands on, but nothing I'm going home with.
That's right.
Right? Like, man,
really. That's a good one.
I'd love to take this gun home, but I'm like, I can't afford it, so I'm not going to waste my time.
I know, and I advise people occasionally. In fact, I think last Sunday I talked about this, that like us, video makers. A lot of the video makers, gun video makers, and say we get lots of guns, or we got another firearm, and we're demonstrating, or maybe even that I own and everything. But we're kind of in a weird place. It's sort of our job in a way, and we're going to be showing a lot of different guns. And I admit to being a gun nut. I have a lot of firearms, but the average Joe that's just, I don't know, getting into the work world and out of college, or he's 25 or 30, whatever. You got lots of expenses in life, and student loans maybe, and everything else. And I encourage people, don't think you have to have every gun you see. You can have so much fun with just one or two or three.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like a lot of gun folks, I love Clint Eastwood movies, and in Gran Torino, there's that one scene where he's with the kid next door, and he says, "Where did you get all these tools?" And he's like, "I've been buying them over 50 years. It's not like I just went out and bought them all."
Exactly. That's exactly what I've been doing. 50 years I've been buying guns off and on, and so it's accelerated some the last few years because of the project. But it's just. What it is, that series we did. In fact, we just did one yesterday on single shot rifles. But the last gun I'd ever sell in a category, I could go through all of my guns, and we may do that when we get through all those various categories. And okay, what's the one gun if I just had one?
Right,
or maybe three or four. And man, I could pick out 4 or 5 of my firearms and just finish life with them. And I'd miss a few of the others a little bit occasionally, but I'd be fine. I'd be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I always tell people too that I ask them, how many guns do you need? And the answer is just one more.
Just one more, right? One more than I have.
Exactly.
The novelty wears off. People, as you get older, people learn that everything is just, you got to have it. And then, oh man, you get it. And you're so happy that firearm or whatever it is, and a few months later, okay, it's sort of in the pile of the rest of them. And
right. I need something new. Yeah.
That's going to happen with most of them anyway. So.
Absolutely. You were just talking about how it's, I'm going to use air quotes when I say this, that it's work to go out and shoot. And, it's not like you are going out to shoot for fun, but do you ever go out just to shoot for fun, like not run the cameras and be like, you know what, it's been a stressful week. I think I want to go and blow some steam off. And
oh yeah. In fact, I just did a couple of days ago. I got what it was. I took, it was a gun we've been reviewing, kind of, haven't posted yet, I guess, on other than the Sunday morning video, but the Cimarron Schofield 5-inch. I just got my Schofield holster and I put that in and just went hiking around the place and, take some pot shots at things, stumps or, some of my own targets over there that I have in the woods and around. But, I still enjoy that. That's just a lot of fun, and I don't necessarily do it to relieve stress, but it's just fun. I've had to mention that a couple of times. That somebody, I don't know if we've talked about this in the car or not in the snow, but someone said one time in a comment, said, there's in a video, probably was blasting the heck out of something in a video. He said, "Gosh, it must be great. Come home from work and relieve stress that way, that kind of thing." And I pointed out to them, partly just to make sure people don't get the wrong impression about firearms. Mm-hmm. Obviously any hobby relieves stress. Whether you're going golfing or shooting, that's for sure. But I'm afraid that, or I fear that people who are not knowledgeable about shooting and have this negative view of shooters, I don't want them to think that you have a bad day, like I was teaching at the time too. I remember that's wondering, that just doesn't sound good. Here I'm teaching middle school all day, getting frustrated with those kids. I got to go and get the gun and a 44 Magnum and shoot something,
Right.
That's just not a good image or not, that's not the way to think about it. Because in reality, that's not the way it works, is it? It is fun. It doesn't really stress because it's a hobby. Going out to chop on the kindling is a stress reliever, anything you do like that. But I just enjoy doing it. I never though in my life have felt like stressed and then shot to get over that sort of thing. And
right.
That's, we both know that's not really much of an issue, but shooting is fun. So anything is fun, relieve stress. So
yeah, definitely saying you've had a tough day at school and coming home and blowing some steam off. I think
kids drove me crazy today. Where's my gun?
Right. I think they call that bad optics, right?
Yeah, really, very bad.
That is for sure. You've got a great retirement gig. Like you've retired from teaching, and this is what you get to do. This is awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better. I really didn't retire. I had been doing this for 4 or 5 years, and I just realized I wasn't going to be able to do both very well. And I was like 61 or 60 or something when I realized that. I said, this is getting busy and it's growing, and I think I'm just going to have to, do this and give up teaching a little earlier than I would have otherwise. And so I gave them 2 years notice where I taught, and that's what I did. I left after 2 years. So I gave them plenty of warning, and I knew that my teaching days would be over, so it worked out well in that sense.
Well, it's the format that you've got is it's very much the teacher's format, because you're talking about what you like about these, and you're displaying the guns and giving us history about them and everything. It's really you're just changing classrooms is really what it is.
Yeah, I guess so in some ways. Yeah. It is fun to teach because, we have a wide range of viewers, but there's a group of people, of course, that watch. They're looking for information. They don't know much yet about firearms, and so we try to get to everybody and not talk over people's heads too much. I'm sure you do when you've been messing with firearms for 50 years, and that's just the way it is. You sometimes say things just without thinking that it's like people who use acronyms in the computer world or something. You don't know what they're talking about. So we try not to do too much of that. Having taught middle school helps with that because when you teach middle school, you just have to be aware of that all the time. That that you got to repeat a lot of things and talk very clearly.
Right.
So that helps.
You've got to be a little more, not talk down to them, but you got to be more direct and on point, and not, you don't want to talk over their heads. So, so that's definitely good.
It's a strange thing to do. I mean, I don't feel like I'm that good at it. Nobody perfects this kind of stuff. It's just, it sort of is what it is. We go out and have fun with a gun and try to provide some information about that firearm, some good visuals of it. John's great, the close-ups and all the parts we want to show, and shoot it and give our impressions of what we think of it. If it's, people get upset when you don't like their gun or criticize your favorite company. But that's kind of the way it goes.
I'm just sitting here thinking, you were talking about zooming in on stuff. Every time I watch a video, I try to figure out if the deer skin is a real deer skin or if it's a fake deer skin. And I'm like, well, first of all, he's in Tennessee, so it's got to be real. But then I'm like, I don't know. It looks really good.
Yeah, it does. We have had a deer skin at one point, I think, but the one we have used for years now is actually a cowhide. It's a Brazilian cowhide. There's a guy who used to, I guess he still does, maybe sets up at the Nashville flea market every month, and he just, probably all over the country have that kind of, but just huge skins. Yeah. And I've bought several from him. Whenever I see one that's kind of solid, I don't want one that's too busy, like a Holstein cow or whatever. It just gets crazy on screen. It's got white and brown and mixes with the guns, because you want the guns to contrast, with it. And And this one, and finding one big enough for a shooting table. Yeah. That's the challenge sometimes, even with a cowhide. But this one we use mostly now. I have two of them, but one of them has a little white on it, and, I don't like it as well, but it's pretty good. But the other one is solid, that that brown. It's a really nice shade of brown. I sound like an interior decorator, but it really does make a difference. It's dark enough, but it's not too light or too dark, and the guns on it I think look really good, lying on it. So that's a goal. I mean, it's a visual thing. So
oh, for sure. I mean, you definitely don't want
to. We don't obsess over
right.
production values necessarily, but that's a simple enough thing to do. Get a piece of cowhide. It gives you a cushion there too for your firearms. You aren't going to scratch them up, and then it just provides a nice background.
Absolutely, yeah. It doesn't. It's just enough of a background that it doesn't take away from the guns that are on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Are you going to any events? I saw you and John at the NRA in Indianapolis, but you were taking pictures with people, and John was just kind of hanging out. So I went over and said hi to him and talked with him for a few minutes. Are you guys going to anything else? Did you guys go to SHOT this year? I can't remember if I saw.
Yeah, I did, and we had missed several years. The last time we had been was the year COVID broke out. Went in 2020. I got back, and all that started, and then I don't know. I guess it was 2022. I don't know. I'm not going to go. I don't think we don't really need to go to SHOT. It was kind of a perk. We went for 8 or 9 years in a row, and it's just kind of a vacation for us to go out west and go to Tombstone and around Monument Valley or the Grand Canyon and places like that. So we just skipped a few years. This year, I really hadn't planned to go, but last year and 2023, and I don't know, I got wild hair about a month or two before it. Started getting emails, from NSSF or something. I thought, well, I kind of miss going. I think maybe I want to go one more time. So I was able to get reservations where I wanted and everything, so I went. But I'm not planning to go this year. We may go again sometime. I don't know.
Gotcha.
That's the only, the NRA meeting, we're going to go to that every year because that's where, all of our viewers, or not all of them, but a lot of them are there. We do meet and greets, and 2 or 3 of our sponsors are set up there at least. And so it's just one of those deals. We'll probably always go to that. Yeah,
that's really cool. Really cool. I think the last question I got for you is, why is it important to you that we have the freedoms that we have here in America? I know. Last one. Throw them a curve, Charlie.
It's almost gosh, it's like, why is the sky blue in a way? Man, you and I and so many of us, we're just raised. We're our whole lives. We've grown up with the freedoms, and I can't imagine living a different way. We've all read enough about Mother Russia or whatever country around the world and what it was like back in the day, or what it's still like in other countries, freedoms that people lack, don't have. And, I just can't imagine. And it just gripes me as I see our freedoms being eroded, the encroachment of the totalitarians, that really, really is frustrating to me, because as a libertarian and just a freedom-loving individual, it's just so important. This country's a kind of a unique experience, and man, we got to keep it going.
We do. I mean, the stuff that the anti-gun folks want to do, it's the salami method, where, okay, well, we'll take, let's take 30-round magazines. So let's take 15-round magazines. Let's take 10-round magazines. Let's, you shouldn't have more than a 7-round magazine. You know what? You don't really need anything more than a 5-shot revolver. And then it turns into, fire 2 blasts out of the air, right? All you need is a double-barrel shotgun, and you don't even have to shoot people with it. So it's
right. It's just silly. People who, and there's so many people that think that way now. It's what's scary. And then you got the people on the fence, and those are the ones that, of course, we need to convince and keep targeting, to understand the nature of firearms. And hopefully, with so many people getting into carry permits and carry guns, that that's helping getting them into other firearms, and realizing that there's nothing evil about an AR-15. There's no real difference between a 10-round magazine, a 15, or a 30, and it's not how many rounds you have. It's what you do with it. Guns are not violent. They're not kind. It's people that have those qualities or evil characteristics. Definitely. One of the things that I've become very aware of is
words mean things, and I don't use the term gun violence. And when I say things with that little voice, it means I can't take this term I'm using seriously. So I use it for gun violence and ghost guns and assault weapons, and
that's the thing. They want us to use those terms. It's or well knew. You control the language, of course. You got it.
Absolutely. And
there is no. Guns, that is the number one worst phrase, gun violence, but it's been used so much that, there's just a lot of people out there that they associate that, guns with violence, and they're not around people like you and I are, that gun violence is the violence of guns is just not a part of our experience.
Oh, absolutely. It's always interesting to hear people that are non-gun folks or anti-gun folks, and all they think is they think that people do evil things with guns, and that is not the case at all. I mean, that's and that's their mindset, and that's what they see, and that's what they watch, and that's what they believe, and that's what they think. And these are the people we gotta switch.
Yeah, it's a conceptual thing in a lot of ways. They really think in their heart of hearts that the more guns, the more that firearms are limited in numbers, the less violence there will be. They really think that, and it does make, okay, that makes a little sense. Yeah, well, not really, not real.
Yeah, not really. I mean, all the stuff that people propose for laws, from magazine bans and assault weapon bans and all this stuff, we have plenty of states that have that. I live in a state that's got all that nonsense, and it doesn't end violence with a gun. It doesn't end criminal activity. It doesn't mean people aren't going to get shot or murdered. It's just it's more difficult for the law-abiding people to want to make a homemade firearm.
That's right, and there's some things you can't talk about almost. Of course, your audience, my audience, most people understand that. But the number of bullets, the number of rounds in a firearm or a magazine, it's really very, very close to being totally irrelevant, right? I mean, someone with a couple of revolvers, one revolver, can just do massive damage. What do you do? Ban a revolver, a 6-shot revolver?
Right. Yeah.
Baseball bat, knives, it happens all the time. So,
yeah, we're going to ban cars and alcohol.
So it's a constant battle that we just have to stay in the fight.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I need to cut you loose. You've been super generous with your time, and I appreciate the time, and I appreciate you being on and taking the phone call.
Well, good to talk to you, Charlie, and good luck with the Armed Lifestyle magazine and all your endeavors.
Well, thank you very much, man. I hope to run into you at NRA next year.
Yeah. Look me up.
All right, we'll talk.
We'll be doing meet and greets there, and they're on our schedule, our website, or in the description. We always put that in there. So yeah, we'll make it known where we're going to be. So come by and see us.
Absolutely. I was standing with somebody, and you walked by. You were, I think you were heading back to like the food court area, and I'm like, he's going someplace. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
He's on a mission.
I need to be somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to keep moving because so many of our viewers are there, and I enjoy meeting them. Just walking around and at meet and greets or whatever. But then there comes a time when we need to be at this other booth by 4:00 or something.
Yeah, we gotta
get out here and eat real quick and get back. So we'll just kind of walk fast, and then say hi and move on. But yeah, I'm always
you were
happy to meet our viewers. We really appreciate them, and I don't ever want to give anybody short shrift or be rude to anybody.
Of course,
I encourage people in videos. If you ever see me, say hi, and they do.
Yeah. I saw that you're on a mission. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to stop him. If you want to go stop him, you can. I don't want to.
It's great though. This endeavor. We're wrapping up. It's so much fun. I'm sure it happens to you too. People you see, like my wife and I were just at Culver's restaurant having lunch, and there was a couple. I'd run into that same couple, ironically, in a different restaurant a couple of months ago. It was funny. and they have two cute little girls, whatever. I don't know, 15, 10 or something like that. Just a wonderful family, and they're shooters, and it was great to run into them and get and talk to them. It's just so you meet a lot. You meet some of the best people when you're in the shooting endeavors, don't you?
Oh, you absolutely do. I actually went down to after NRA. I came back to Massachusetts, and then I was home for one night, and then I went down to Philly to interview a couple people, and I called up one of my friends down there, and she's like, "Where are you staying tonight?" And I said, "Well, I've got a couple shows in Philly, and then I've got a show in North Jersey." And I said I was going to go up to North Jersey, and she's like, "Yeah, come down here, have dinner with me and my husband, and stay with us, and then get up early and continue on with what you need to do." So, gun folks are really the greatest people.
Yep. I've always said that about shooting. Now, there's a few exceptions, of course, but it's 99% of people that are into the shooting sports are good folks.
Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, I need to cut you loose. I appreciate your time, Hickok, and thank you very much.
Okay, man. You take care.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Awesome.